let Mrs. Thimesch go first with a 30-second opening statement.
Good evening. My name is Kronda Thimesch, and I'm a conservative business owner. I'm a Louisville ISD School Board trustee. I'm a community volunteer, and I'm a longtime Republican that's worked hard to build our party. I am running because we need to do better in House District 65. We have one of the most liberal Democrats representing House District 65 down in Austin. I'm humbled to have almost 400 endorsements, which shows that I can bring people together and I can do what it takes to bring back this seat.
Okay. Mrs. Cline.
I'm a proud lifelong Texan and conservative Republican. I've been a civil engineer in this region for over 30 years, solving problems including 7 miles of 1171 from Shiloh to I-35W. I've been married over 30 years. We have 3 grown children, all Texas A&M graduates. I'm a military mom and wife. My husband Jim retired after 28 years in the Texas Army National Guard as a lieutenant colonel. My oldest is a captain in the Air Force. My husband spent 1 year in Afghanistan.
Mrs. Thimesch, we're going to have the first question for you. Do you believe our current state budget of $250 billion is reasonable, and if not, how do you propose to curb spending?
One of the areas that I think that we can immediately look at is our Texas state agencies and look at the overhead, the administration that we have at the top. I think several of them are top heavy, and I think that we need to look at those costs associated with that, and I think you could provide some significant savings addressing that.
So would you say the current budget is reasonable?
I feel like at this time the current budget would be reasonable for what we have.
Okay. Mrs. Cline?
I feel like the current budget is reasonable, but I also recognize we've been in a really good time for a long time with a strong economy on fire. We've got to see that this can't continue forever. I'm prepared to dig deep into the budget when those times come and look for opportunities for efficiencies and savings.
Okay. Mrs. Cline, this one will be for you. What legislation do you intend to file, support, and get to the floor for a vote in the next legislative session?
I feel that, redistricting is huge, but that's not something I would be doing personally. Personally, I feel strongly about school safety. I feel strongly about some aspects of transportation and the way the money is being spent. And I would like to follow House Bill 3 and what happened from that and participate in follow-up legislation on how to update House Bill 3.
Okay. Ms. Thimesch?
Thank you. I think one of the most important things to me is looking at filing a bill that addresses all the issues around pro-life. I think the safety of life is crucial. It's important to me as a conservative, and so I really want to address that as one of my first priorities. I also want to look at the porous border that we have with not only illegal immigrants coming across our border. We have drugs, and in the state of Texas, we're ranked 1 or 2, depending on the poll, for human trafficking, and that is completely unacceptable. I want to make sure that we address those issues immediately.
Okay. Ms. Thimesch, this is for you. Which Republican Party of Texas legislative priority should have passed this last legislative session?
The heartbeat bill.
Ms. Cline?
I would think some of the Senate's bills to do with the public education and Jay Nelson's support of the encouragement she was trying to get passed that didn't make it into House Bill 3.
Mrs. Cline, this will be yours. Do you support taxpayer-funded lobbying? Why or why not?
From the school board perspective, there are 8,000 bills filed, and it is hard to keep up with all the bills. I support it within controlled restraint areas, but we can be aware and can keep up with the 8,000 bills. Yes.
Okay. Ms. Thimesch?
No, I do not support when we have government entities that are paying lobbyists to go down and lobby to raise taxes for the entities they represent. And so I would not support legislation that allows you to lobby for higher taxes.
Okay. Mrs. Thimesch. There are current efforts underway to convince the state Republican Party to weaken its stance on expanding protected classes to include sexual orientation and gender identity. Do you agree the party platform and principles should change? And if so, how would this affect the Republican Party in Texas?
No, I do not think that that should change. I think that we, all humans, we respect everyone, and I do not feel like that we need to have special classes of citizens or identities that they feel like that they are a protected class.
Ms. Cline?
I do not feel that this needs to be included, and we had this come up at our last school board meeting, and we tabled it, and we are not taking any action on it. Oh, it's me.
It's you.
Okay, I'm going to figure this out soon.
If you are elected, who will you trust and rely on to give you accurate information about pending legislation?
Well, I learned not to trust the media, but I did tell the Wall Street Journal I thought they were one of the more legitimate papers a couple of years ago, and I've retracted that opinion. I think my husband, he has a lot of viewpoints. He's had a lot of viewpoints recently with what's going on in Iran and Iraq. But I also, just like raising children or anything else we do, I am good at soliciting input and then making decisions based on the input that I've received. And also going out and listening to people I know that know more than I know.
Ms. Thimesch?
For me, it would depend on what the legislation is. I have relationships across the community in the state, and I want to reach out to those that I trust with conservative values that I know and respect, and that are also experts in that area. And I want to make sure that I'm getting their input because they're the ones that are going to understand the issues and how it's going to affect the state.
Okay, thank you. And this one's for you. What kind of a speaker do you think would be most effective to replace Speaker Baumann?
I think a speaker that the House respects, that has integrity and trustworthiness, because you cannot lead if you do not have the respect of your other fellow legislators. And so I think it's really important that when the House convenes next year, that it is someone that that is a high level of integrity and represents the conservative values for those of us in office.
Including high ethics, respect, and integrity are all good platforms, and we were all, that's what you look for in a leader.
Okay.
I'm still here. I'm not going to sit down right
All right, you're right. Have you read the entire Republican Party of Texas platform? And if you have, name one plank you disagree with.
I have not read the entire Party of Texas platform, and I have not found any that I disagree with.
Well, I have read the platform and I was perusing through it. I think for me, one of the ones that I think that would be a struggle for me would be school vouchers, because I have had the opportunity to do private school, homeschool, and public school with my families. And for me, religious liberties is paramount. You have to be able to have religious liberties. And I feel like if there's dollars that are associated with vouchers, then I'm afraid that the government's going to take away the freedom that a parent has for their freedom in religion.
Okay. And this last one is for you to start. Give a brief assessment of this past state legislative session.
I think it was fast and furious. I think there was a lot of work that went on. I know that for the first time, without a gun to their heads, I know that our state legislators passed several, historic, with school funding. They worked on property tax reform. They put a cap so that we are able to provide some relief for our taxpayers in our community. And so I think that there was work that was done. I think there was definitely, we know there's a lot of things that were left undone that we need to do more coming up at the 87th.
Ms. Cline?
I think this legislative session was, a lot of hard work went into it and a lot of good product came out, but we still have to restudy and revisit what was the result of that. You know, are there unfunded mandates, are there unintended consequences? But I think they did a lot of good hard work.
All right. I'm going to let each of you now give a 1-minute closing statement, and Mrs. Cline, you may go first.
The stakes are very high in this race. This is unlike most of Denton County. We have a Democrat in office that does not reflect or represent House District 65. I believe I am the best qualified candidate to challenge our extremely liberal Democrat. She is the 9th most liberal member. I will communicate meaningful conservative policy solutions. I want to take our values to Austin. I will articulate these solutions to the voters for important issues for the region, such as traffic congestion, massive growth, and rising taxes. We cannot afford to repeat past mistakes and lose House District 65 again to a Democrat. Please vote for me on March 3rd, 2020.
Again, thank you for the opportunity to be here. I feel that as a business owner and school board trustee, as a community volunteer, and as a Republican, that at least have all prepared me to be the strongest nominee for our party in November. I've started a family business with my husband Jeff out of our garage in 1989. So I know how important it is that the government's oversight, the regulations, and the taxes affect a business. And so for me, being able to be a strong voice for our taxpayers and business owners in Austin is going to be significant. I'm the only GOP candidate that has almost 400 endorsements from elected officials, from grassroots Republicans with activists and community leaders. I've brought them together because I know that it's going to take all of us to defeat our incumbent in November. I've also got a lot of more information on my website if you'd like to learn more. Thank you.
Thank you very much.